Mark Harper was the trusted uncle everyone admired, until his dark obsession with his niece Emily tore their family apart and led to a gruesome, unthinkable tragedy that shocked an entire town. In the quiet town of Willow Creek, life moved at a gentle pace. People knew each other by name, and the sound of children playing in the streets was a common and comforting melody. Among the town's many families, the Harpers stood out as one of the most well-respected. Mark Harper, a man in his late 40s, was known as a devoted uncle and a steady figure in the community. He worked as a local mechanic, fixing cars with a careful hand, and was often seen lending a helping hand to neighbors. His niece, Emily, was a bright and cheerful 19-year-old who had recently left for college, filled with hope and plans for the future. To outsiders, their family seemed solid and close-knit, an image of normalcy that hid something far more disturbing beneath the surface. Emily had always admired her uncle. Growing up, she remembered how he would take time to listen to her, offer advice, and treat her like more than just a relative. She trusted him in a way that came naturally between family members. But as she grew older and started making her own way in the world, she began to sense subtle changes in Mark's behavior. What once felt like harmless attention started to feel uncomfortable, as if the lines between uncle and niece were slowly dissolving. At first, Emily tried to ignore the uneasy feeling. She told herself it was just her imagination, the awkwardness of growing up and dealing with adult relationships. But Mark's actions became harder to overlook. He found reasons to visit her dorm, showing up unexpectedly and lingering longer than necessary. His compliments shifted from friendly to personal, and his gaze held an intensity that sent chills down her spine. Emily tried to keep her distance, but Mark's persistence wore her down. He seemed to believe that his feelings were justified, that no one would question the bond they shared. Friends noticed the change in Emily, too. She stopped talking about family events and seemed distracted during conversations. She avoided inviting Mark to gatherings, creating tension that was palpable. Still, no one knew the full story, and Emily kept her struggles hidden, ashamed and confused. She was caught in a dangerous trap, unable to break free from the person she once trusted most. One afternoon, Emily's mother, Susan, grew concerned after noticing bruises on Emily's arms. When she gently asked what had happened, Emily brushed it off as accidental or clumsy. But Susan's worry deepened. She began watching Mark more closely during family visits, searching for any sign of wrongdoing. Mark's calm and charming demeanor never gave him away. He was careful, always polite and warm in front of others, hiding his darker urges behind a mask of kindness. As weeks passed, Mark's obsession seemed to grow. He spent hours scrolling through Emily's social media, commenting on her photos with vague but suggestive messages. Emily's attempts to block him or avoid contact only seemed to provoke him further. She felt trapped, isolated from the people who might help her. Fear gnawed at her every day, a silent companion she could not shake. At the same time, Mark began to weave a web of control. He convinced other family members that Emily was fragile and needed his protection. His stories about her supposed struggles made it easier for him to insert himself into her life at every turn. Slowly, he isolated Emily from those who might suspect him, tightening the grip that held her captive. Despite the darkness creeping in, the town of Willow Creek remained oblivious. Life went on with the usual rhythms of school, work, and weekend barbecues. But behind closed doors, the tension was building, an invisible storm gathering strength. Emily's bright future was fading fast, swallowed by the very person who was supposed to care for her. No one saw the warning signs clearly enough until it was too late. Mark's secret, buried deep beneath his friendly exterior, was ready to explode and shatter the fragile peace of the Harper family. The tragedy that followed would shock the town to its core and reveal how the most trusted faces can hide the darkest secrets. In the end, the story of Mark and Emily was not just about a family torn apart. It was a chilling reminder that evil can hide in plain sight, wrapped in the guise of love and protection. And when it finally came to light, the truth would prove far more horrifying than anyone could have imagined. Emily's disappearance sent shockwaves through the small town of Willow Creek. One moment she was there, bright, hopeful, planning her future, and the next, she was gone without a trace. Her friends and family were desperate for answers, but the mystery only deepened as days turned into weeks. The police launched a full investigation, searching everywhere from the dense woods surrounding the town to abandoned buildings and even nearby rivers. Still, nothing was found. No signs of a struggle, no belongings left behind, no clues that could explain where Emily had vanished. Her bedroom remained untouched, a silent reminder of her sudden absence. Friends who visited found her things exactly as she had left them. Clothes folded neatly, books stacked on the shelf, her laptop open but untouched. It was as if Emily had simply vanished into thin air. The feeling of unease grew heavier with each passing day, and the community's hope began to fade. Then, during a careful search of Emily's personal belongings, the police discovered a hidden journal tucked away in the back of her dresser drawer. It was small, with worn pages filled with neat handwriting. The journal became a crucial piece of the puzzle. As investigators read through the entries, a disturbing story started to unfold, one that no one had suspected. Emily wrote about feeling scared and trapped in her own life. She described a secret that weighed on her heart, something she couldn't share with anyone else. Her words revealed confusion, sadness, and fear. Though she never named anyone directly, it was clear she was terrified of someone close to her. The tone of the journal shifted from hopeful to desperate, painting a picture of a young woman struggling to break free from a dark presence. Police began to focus their investigation on those closest to Emily, questioning family members, friends, and acquaintances. It didn't take long before suspicion turned toward Mark Harper, her uncle. His relationship with Emily was already known to be complicated, but the evidence against him was subtle and circumstantial at first. He appeared cooperative and genuinely concerned in front of others, yet inconsistencies in his statements raised red flags for detectives. That Mark's phone records revealed late-night calls to Emily's number, continuing even after her disappearance. These calls were often brief but frequent, and investigators wondered if he was trying to cover something up or was desperate to contact her for reasons unknown. A witness came forward claiming to have seen Mark near the edge of the forest where the police had been searching on the very night Emily vanished. The sighting added a chilling layer to the growing suspicion. As the police dug deeper into Mark's life, they found more troubling details. Friends and neighbors recalled strange behaviors, times when Mark seemed anxious or agitated for no clear reason. His carefully maintained image as a kind uncle began to crumble under the weight of these revelations. But without solid proof, authorities struggled to make an arrest. Behind closed doors, Emily's family was torn apart by fear and disbelief. Susan, Emily's mother, was heartbroken and confused. She couldn't believe the man she had trusted, her own brother-in-law, could be involved in such a nightmare. Family gatherings became tense and strained, with accusations and silence filling the spaces where love once lived. Meanwhile, Mark remained calm in public, attending vigils and press conferences, portraying himself as a man desperate to find his niece. His performance fooled many, but the police were growing more convinced of his guilt. The turning point came when a search of Mark's home uncovered something horrifying. A blood-stained shirt hidden in a dark corner of his closet. The discovery shocked everyone. It was the first undeniable proof linking Mark to Emily's disappearance. But even more disturbing was what lay beyond that. A locked drawer containing photographs of Emily, taken without her knowledge. Some images were innocent snapshots, but others were invasive and unsettling, evidence of an unhealthy obsession. The investigation now had a new urgency. Police were determined to find the truth hidden in the shadows. With the bloodstained shirt and photos as evidence, they obtained a warrant to search every inch of Mark's property. The search led them to a small, remote cabin on the outskirts of town, a place no one had known Mark used regularly. What they found there would change everything. The cabin was abandoned and dusty, but signs showed it had been used recently. The officers could feel the weight of the secret it held. The mystery of Emily's disappearance was about to reach a horrifying conclusion that would shake the town and tear apart the Harper family forever. The discovery of the remote cabin marked a turning point in the investigation, transforming a confusing mystery into a chilling nightmare. The cabin sat hidden among towering trees, its weathered wood blending almost perfectly with the forest around it. Police officers approached cautiously, knowing this place could hold the answers they desperately needed. Inside, the air was heavy, with silence, broken only by the faint sound of footsteps and the rustling of leaves outside. As they began a thorough search, the officers found signs that someone had been living there recently. Dirty dishes, worn blankets, and scattered personal items suggested the cabin wasn't just a storage shed but a hideout. The dim light filtering through the grimy windows revealed marks on the floorboards and walls, scuffs, scratches, and stains that told a dark story. It was clear this place had been the setting for something terrible. Among the debris, the police uncovered a small, locked trapdoor embedded in the floor. Breaking the lock, they lifted the heavy wooden panel to reveal a hidden space beneath. What they found inside turned the investigation from grim to horrifying. Concealed in the cramped, dark crawl space were the remains of Emily. Her body had been carefully hidden, but time and forensic work would soon uncover the truth about what had happened. The evidence collected at the cabin painted a brutal picture. Forensic experts confirmed the remains were Emily's, and signs of trauma indicated she had died violently. Blood stains matched the ones found on the shirt in Mark's closet, linking him directly to the crime scene. The investigators knew that this was no accident or simple disappearance. This was murder. News of the discovery spread through Willow Creek like wildfire. The town that had once whispered about strange behavior now faced the full horror of what had been kept secret. Mark Harper, the man who had played the part of devoted uncle, was now the prime suspect in a case that shocked everyone. The friendly face they had trusted was replaced with the image of a man capable of terrible violence. Mark was arrested and taken into custody. Despite the overwhelming evidence, he maintained his innocence, refusing to speak about the details of that night. His calm demeanor unnerved the police, who knew his silence was part of a dangerous game. Investigators searched for anyone who might have helped him or known about the crime, determined to uncover every part of the story. During interviews with family and friends, a startling revelation came to light. A close family friend, someone deeply trusted by the Harpers, had been involved in covering up the crime. This person had helped Mark hide the body and erase evidence, all in the name of protecting the family's reputation. The betrayal stunned the community and added a painful layer of complexity to the case. The involvement of this accomplice suggested the darkness within the family ran deeper than anyone had imagined. Secrets had been kept for years, carefully buried beneath smiles and polite conversations. The perfect image of the Harper family shattered completely as the full extent of the deception became clear as the investigation continued. Police uncovered more disturbing details about Mark's obsession with Emily. His actions were not just moments of weakness or poor judgment. They were part of a long, calculated pattern of control and manipulation. The photos found in his locked drawer were just the tip of the iceberg. Behind closed doors, Mark had been watching, waiting, and planning that Emily's attempts to escape and seek help had been met with threats, and intimidation. Her journal, which had initially seemed like a cry for help, was now understood as a desperate record of her suffering. Every page was a testament to the terror she endured in silence. The town of Willow Creek struggled to process the shock. Families who once greeted Mark with smiles now avoided his name. Friends of Emily mourned not only her death, but the betrayal of trust that allowed such horror to happen. The trial that awaited Mark promised to be one of the most watched and talked about cases in the town's history. Though justice seemed within reach, the scars left by this tragedy ran deep. The story of Emily and Mark was a haunting reminder of how quickly darkness could grow in the places people least expected, and how devastating the consequences could be when trust was broken in the worst way imaginable. The trial of Mark Harper became the most intense and heart-wrenching event Willow Creek had ever witnessed. From the moment the courtroom doors opened, the air was thick with tension, sorrow, and disbelief. The town had gathered to watch the man they once trusted face the consequences of actions that shattered a family and rocked an entire community. The prosecution laid out a detailed and grim case, painting a picture of Mark's growing obsession with Emily and the terrible events that followed. They presented the blood-stained shirt found in his closet, forensic evidence linking him to the cabin where Emily's remains were discovered, and the disturbing photos that revealed his unhealthy fixation. The journal Emily had kept was read, aloud in court, her words echoing through the room, an emotional testament to her fear and pain. But what shocked everyone most was the revelation that Mark had not acted alone. During the investigation, it was uncovered that a close family friend, James, had played a crucial role in covering up the crime. James had helped Mark hide evidence and mislead the police, hoping to protect the Harper family's reputation and avoid scandal. His betrayal stunned those who had once seen him as a loyal and honorable man. James was called to testify, and his testimony was a mixture of remorse and self-preservation. He admitted to helping Mark, but claimed he didn't know the full extent of what had happened. The defense tried to shift blame, suggesting James had coerced Mark into covering up the crime. Yet, the jury saw through the attempts to distort the truth, recognizing the deep betrayal involved. Throughout the trial, the courtroom was filled with the quiet sobs of Emily's family. Susan, her mother, sat with a broken heart, trying to find strength for the battle ahead. The pain was raw and visible, a stark contrast to Mark's cold and detached demeanor. He showed little emotion, a chilling reminder of how far removed he was from the suffering he caused. The defense team fought hard, portraying Mark as a troubled man who lost control but did not intend to kill Emily. They argued that his actions were the result of a momentary lapse in judgment, not premeditated murder. They painted a picture of a complicated family dynamic and tried to raise doubts about the evidence. Yet, the mounting proof against Mark was overwhelming. As the trial progressed, the community's feelings evolved from shock to outrage. Many, who had once defended Mark, now demanded justice for Emily. The betrayal by James deepened their sense of loss and anger. It was no longer just about one man's crime, but about a system of silence and protection that allowed such a tragedy to happen. The final day of the trial was tense. The jury deliberated for hours, weighing every piece of evidence and testimony. When they finally returned, the courtroom fell silent. The verdict was clear. Mark Harper was found guilty of first-degree murder. The judge sentenced him to life in prison without the possibility of parole. James faced charges as well, convicted of obstruction of justice and being an accessory after the fact. His sentence was significantly lighter but served as a warning about the consequences of betrayal and complicity. The impact of the trial stretched far beyond the courtroom. The Harper family was left in ruins, struggling to heal from wounds that might never fully close. Emily's story became a somber reminder in Willow Creek, a cautionary tale about trust, secrecy, and the hidden dangers lurking beneath familiar faces. In the weeks that followed, the town came together to support Susan and the rest of Emily's family. Vigils were held, and memorials dedicated to Emily's memory. Though nothing could undo the horror they endured, the community vowed to learn from the tragedy, to listen more closely to those in pain, and to protect the vulnerable. Mark Harper's conviction brought a sense of closure, but also forced everyone to confront uncomfortable truths. Evil, they learned, could wear the mask of kindness and live within the heart of a family. The secrets kept to protect appearances had cost a young woman her life and shattered the lives of those who loved her. The story of Mark and Emily would haunt Willow Creek forever, a grim reminder that sometimes the most dangerous monsters hide closest to home, and that justice, while powerful, can never fully heal the scars left behind. The aftermath of the trial left Willow Creek forever changed. The town, once peaceful and close-knit, now carried a shadow that touched every corner. People struggled to reconcile the image of Mark Harper, the dependable uncle, the trusted family friend, with the man who had committed an unspeakable crime. Conversations that once revolved around daily life and small-town news now often drifted toward whispers of betrayal, loss, and the hidden darkness behind familiar faces. Emily's family faced the hardest battle of all, trying to rebuild their lives after the unimaginable. Susan, Emily's mother, became a pillar of quiet strength despite her grief. She dedicated herself to raising awareness about abuse and the dangers that sometimes hide within families. Susan's pain fueled her activism, and she spoke openly at community meetings and schools, urging others to speak up and seek help before it was too late. Her message was clear: no secret was worth a life, and no silence could protect the vulnerable. The Harper family name, once respected and admired, was now stained with tragedy. Some relatives withdrew from the community, unable to bear the judgment and pain that followed. Others tried to support Susan and honor Emily's memory, but the fractures ran deep. The betrayal by James, the family friend who had helped cover up the crime, left wounds that were slow to heal. Trust had been shattered, and rebuilding it seemed nearly impossible.